Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 75 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled, You Are Not Sick, You Have a Broken Heart. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a commonly overlooked issue, and that is broken hearts. Now, this is not something that's often detected from first glance, nor does it show up on any type of blood test, MRI, CT scan, or any type of enzyme test. This is truly a matter of herbalists having discernment and the ability to ask the right questions. So today we are going to talk about what is a broken heart, its implications for our clients, the signs of a broken heart, and how this can impact our clients' ability to respond to the herbal remedies or protocols that we are recommending. So if you like what you're hearing so far, buckle up, grab a notebook and a pen. Let's go ahead and dive into this topic. Now, before we get started, I want to say thank you so much for all my continued listeners. I appreciate your dedication and support as always. And if you are new here to the Dear Herbalist podcast, thank you so much for stopping by. I talk about a variety of topics in herbal medicine and how it can help people, our clients. Specifically, I'm speaking to herbalists and plant enthusiasts, people that just love herbal medicine, the human body, and how they work together. So if that sounds like you, then this podcast is definitely for you. Stay tuned for more informative podcasts. This one is number 75. I am on my way to 100, and I'm so excited for that. I think I'm going to plan some kind of a celebration, but I really don't know what. My daughter was like, Mom, you need to do a celebration for your 100th podcast. So I'm thinking about doing that because it's truly a blessing to come this far and remain dedicated no matter what, because it hasn't come without its challenges and hindrances and all that kind of stuff. But I remained dedicated to it no matter what. I said I was going to be consistent. I have been, and I thank the Most High for that. So it's been an amazing journey thus far in podcast land. Now, eventually I will be on camera. I'm working through all of that and how all this should set up and work. But for right now, it's okay. I still want to make sure that I get you the information, and I didn't want to not start the podcast at all because I didn't have all the right equipment. You know, you start where you are and you build from there. So stay tuned for all of that. Feel free to reach out to me if you need to via all my social media sites. I'm on all platforms at The Demystified Herbalist. Unless you're on X, it's TD Herbalist. Other than that, you can also shoot me an email at thedemystifiedherbalist@gmail.com. All right. So let's get into a broken heart. What is a broken heart? Now, a broken heart refers not only to emotional pain from loss or intense grief, but also a physical condition that may result from overwhelming stress. Now, symptoms ranging from palpitations and chest tightness to more severe conditions like the broken heart syndrome, which they call taco tsubo, or tsubo. That's what I say it, cardiomyopathy. That's what they call it in modern medicine. And if it sounds Japanese, it's because it is. It's talking about an octopus that kind of wraps around and tightens. They call that the broken heart syndrome. Now, what are the implications for our clients of a broken heart? Like I said, oftentimes you're not going to be able to look at people and say they have a broken heart. It is something that needs to be discerned, but it's also something that can be determined based on your questioning and those type of things. But for herbalists working with clients experiencing emotional distress, it's important to understand the link between intense emotions and physical health, because they do impact each other. Emotions such as grief and sadness may not only affect your mental well-being, but also have a direct impact on your physical health, particularly your cardiovascular system, your heart, that type of thing. And what this means is that clients dealing with this prolonged grief and emotional trauma for extended period of time can be at a higher risk for heart-related disorders or diseases. So let's take a look at what's going on in the body of a person with a broken heart. So let's look at it from a scientific perspective. In the body, we have what is called a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Okay, it's called the HPA axis. What happens is that stress triggers this and it activates, which releases cortisol and adrenaline. Releasing these hormones elevate blood pressure and cause inflammation, which contribute to heart disease. Another thing that's going on in the body, specifically in the sympathetic nervous system, chronic stress activates the fight or flight response, which increases your heart rate and your blood pressure, which puts a strain on the heart and can lead to heart muscle thickening. Another issue that's going on is inflammation and oxidative stress. So long-term stress can increase inflammation in your body and produce harmful substances that can damage your heart cells and blood vessels. This can make your heart less efficient in terms of how it functions. So prolonged stress raises your inflammatory markers and your reactive oxygen species. It damages heart cells, damages your blood vessels, and reduces your heart's efficiency. Another issue is autonomic imbalance. So stress disrupts the balance between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous systems. And this can lead to a high heart rate and a low heart rate variability, increasing your cardiovascular risk. Another issue that's going on inside of the body is your endothelial dysfunction. So stress can harm the inner lining of your blood vessels, and this can lead to hypertension as well as increased strain on your heart. So all of this stuff is going on inside of your body. And I know I used a lot of scientific terms, but I kind of wanted to give it to you from a scientific perspective first. But all of these things are going on in your body. And when you're talking to someone that is dealing with, once you determine that's what it is, a broken heart, you can better explain to them, like, this is not just hurt from a death or hurt from a loss or hurt from, somebody doing some sort of emotional harm to you. This is not just that. It is impacting your entire physical body, because your physical body is picking up every single thing at every moment of your life. So this is the reason why it's important to explain this. But also, if you're doing formulations, you have to know from a scientific perspective, what is going on in the body at this point? What is it trying to do? Now, to keep it simple, no matter how many big words are used in the science realm, at the end of the day, the human body is all about balance. So like I always say, look at it as that balancing scale. If something is off, it throws other things off. And if it throws those other things off, the body is working hard to try to find that balance to bring it back to the middle. And so all these different functions with these 12 long science words, okay, are basically words that say, this is what the problem is, but this is what the body's doing to try to get it back on track. Okay, so just kind of keep it simple in that aspect. But I have to use the scientific terms so that you can understand what it is, what the function is. And then from there, you'll be able to know what's happening in the body. Now, what are the signs of a broken heart? Now, number one are some physical symptoms, such as chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, and irregular heartbeat. Emotional symptoms can be sadness. It could be like overwhelming sadness, really, difficulty focusing, and persistent low mood. Behavioral changes such as withdrawal from social activities or loss of interest in previously enjoyed hobbies. Another sign of a broken heart is difficulty managing stress, anxiety, or depression, which can all worsen upon impact on the heart. So the broken heart is really the root. And the tree of that, the branches of that, the manifestations of the broken heart are the anxiety and the depression, difficulty focusing, fatigue, shortness of breath, chest pains. These are the branches, but the root is the broken heart. All right. Now, how might a client, because you're like, okay, let's say that does happen. Maybe I have discernment, maybe I don't. But how might a client whose true root issue is a broken heart, because it could be a myriad of things, right? But someone who really does have at the base or the foundation of their issue a broken heart, how do they present when they come to you as the herbalist? Now, when the client is suffering from a broken heart, they may present with a variety of different symptoms and conditions that aren't immediately obvious as being related to emotional distress. It's important to note that while these conditions can stem from emotional distress, like a broken heart, they can also have other causes. All right. This is all about putting pieces of the puzzle together to kind of help you narrow down what the true issue is. So as an herbalist, You would need to take the holistic approach, considering the client's emotional state, their physical symptoms, and overall health history to determine the most appropriate cause of your recommendations. Now, let me give this little disclaimer before I start diving in deeper here, because I have to, right? It is important to note that while these herbal approaches can be beneficial, they should not replace professional medical care, especially in cases of severe emotional distress or heart conditions. There you go. All right. Now, here's what an herbalist might observe and some common conditions that could have broken heart at its root. Their initial presentation. So when they come to you, they might present with fatigue or low energy, sleep disturbances such as insomnia or they oversleep, changes in appetite or loss of appetite or they eat too much, digestive issues, so upset stomach, nausea or loss of appetite, headaches or general body aches, anxiety or restlessness, difficulty concentrating, mood swings or irritability. That's the initial presentation that they may have. All right. Now, the common conditions that they may have and come to you with. There are several conditions that a person with a broken heart might encounter, that an herbalist might encounter from someone with a broken heart. But let's look at some of these conditions that could have a broken heart as their underlying cause. Number one is stress-induced cardiomyopathy. This is known as what I spoke about before as the broken heart syndrome. This condition mimics a heart attack and can occur after intense emotional stress. Now, keep in mind, this is a temporary syndrome. It's not meant to go on forever. If you're trying to figure out the difference between the heart attack and this is a stress induced. So keep that in mind, and it is temporary. Number two is depression. Persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in other activities. Another common condition is anxiety disorder. So this is excessive worry, panic attacks, or generalized anxiety. Another underlying cause could be insomnia, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, often due to racing thoughts. Digestive issues. Stress from heartbreak can manifest as irritable bowel syndrome or acid reflux or even loss of appetite. Another one is weakened immune system. So this could lead to frequent colds or infections. Chronic fatigue syndrome. So this can be persistent tiredness that doesn't improve with rest. Somebody could present with tension headache, often related to stress and emotional turmoil. A person could present with skin issues. So stress can also exacerbate conditions like eczema or acne. And then lastly, this is not an exhaustive list, but it's just a few things to kind of give you a basis to go from. Hormonal imbalances. So emotional stress can affect hormone levels, which can lead to a variety of different symptoms. Now, if you have, let's say you have a client that comes into your office or wherever you see clients at, or people that just come to your house. Let's say that you've taken all this in consideration. You've, gone through all the steps to understand how this all works and what's going on. And you've made your determination based on what information was presented to you. And you start to work together a remedy, right? One of the things that you need to take in consideration, and later on, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but later on I will talk about some different strategies. Let's talk about how these conditions, okay, you're ready to start formulating, but there's some things that you need to keep in mind. Let's talk about how these conditions and a broken heart impact your client's ability to respond to herbal remedies, because you may give someone herbal protocol or even just an herbal remedy to kind of help them out. And they may come to you and be like, this ain't working. I don't know what's going on. Maybe this herbal medicine stuff don't work. I'm gonna go get me some antidepressants. I'm gonna go get me some drugs or something, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna go get me something else because these herbs are not working. Well, it's like I explain to people all the time. There are many factors that come into play as to why herbal remedies or herbs, period, don't work for you. And there are several factors, so you can't just put it off on one thing. You tried it once, that's it. No, you may have some absorption issues. You may be taking medications. There may be a myriad of things that are going on. As the body is working to balance itself out, there may be some disruptions there, or maybe you don't have enough of the herb. Maybe you have too much of the herb. There's so many other factors that could come into play as to why the remedy doesn't work. But when it comes to people who have a broken heart, it does impact their ability to respond to herbal remedies. So when a person is emotionally distressed or heartbroken, their ability to respond to the herbal remedies can be compromised, because intense emotions affect the body's overall function. This includes your circulatory system, which moves things around, as well as your immune system, which also fights off infections and things like that. So this dysregulation can, number one, okay, I'm gonna give you how this impacts your client's ability to respond to herbal remedies. Number one, it can slow the healing process. Emotional stress may reduce the effectiveness of herbs designed to support health or stress management. Number two, it can alter your client's abilities to be able to absorb the plant. So the stress response can impact your gastrointestinal system, meaning that your herbs may not be absorbed effectively. Another impact is aggravating symptoms. Another way that a broken heart can impact your ability to respond to herbal remedies is that it can aggravate the symptoms. So emotional stress may exacerbate symptoms such as increasing your blood pressure, despite the fact that you're using an herbal remedy aimed to calm or balance your system. The mind and the body is a strong and powerful thing. Back in the day, a lot of the ancients, they wouldn't even see people if they didn't believe that the plants could work. I remember reading that and I was like, wow. To me, I'm like, oh no, you don't turn people away. But as I started doing more research, as I started working with people, myself, and doing protocols and making remedies and all this other kind of stuff, I really started to understand why they were like, listen, belief is a very strong thing. If you do not believe that it can happen for you, it's going to work for you or any of that, then emotional stress and a broken heart can exacerbate symptoms, and you don't want to do that, because that's working against the body, and that's not good. So you're like, fine, then what's the strategy? When herbalists are looking to address the issue of someone with a broken heart, you have to consider a holistic approach when addressing these issues. So what that means is that you want to combine emotional support with physical protocols, with physical remedies. And there's many different herbs that you can use. We'll talk about these things a little bit later. There's many different herbs that you can use to address this. So like I always tell people, whenever you're trying to approach how to address an issue in herbal medicine, you always have to have a strategy. You always have to have a clear understanding of the issue, what's going on, as well as the steps or the strategy that you're going to create to address those things. So when you are looking at a strategy, you want to first look at what's going on in the body. So you're in your mind, I'm sure you're thinking, well, what is the strategy? So when you're thinking about a strategy to address an issue in herbal medicine, you want to make sure that you have a full understanding of what's going on. You want to look at all parts of the body that are involved, all systems of the body that are involved, because this information will help you to know what you need to do. A few podcasts back, I talked about biochemical pathways, and I also talked about cellular targets. This information is important to know so that you can have a more targeted approach when you are looking at formulating your herbal remedies to address the situation. So let's look at the systems and things that are involved in someone with a broken heart. You want to look at these things, as well as we'll talk about the herbs that can address this particular system. So number one, we talked about the HPA axis regulation. So you want to focus on that. So in order to help regulate your HPA axis, you want to use adaptogens, and there's herbs like ashwagandha and holy basil that you can use, because these help modulate the HPA axis by reducing your cortisol and balancing your adrenal function. All right, so when you're talking about the strategy, you want to look at what is it that you need to focus on. And when you're talking about someone with a broken heart, there are several different things that you need to focus on in order to kind of help the body balance this person back out. So number one, you want to look at regulating the HPA axis. And you can use adaptogen herbs such as ashwagandha or holy basil because they can help modulate the HPA axis by reducing cortisol and balancing out your client's adrenal function. Another thing is the sympathetic nervous system. You want to support this particular system by using nervines like lemon balm or passion flower because they can help calm the sympathetic nervous system as well as reduce the strain that's on your client's heart. Another plan of action is that you want to address the inflammation and the oxidative stress. And you want to look at herbs with the anti-inflammatory as well as antioxidant actions. You want to look at these type of herbs, and some examples of that can be turmeric or rosemary because they work to reduce inflammation as well as oxidative stress, protecting your heart's tissue. Another strategy is looking at the imbalances of your autonomic system. And you want to look at nervines and adaptogens that could kind of help balance out your that can help balance the autonomic nervous system. And you can use herbs such as ashwagandha, or a nervine could be skullcap. All right, another point of strategy you want to look at is balancing out or helping the body to balance out your autonomic nervous system. And you want to use herbs that are adaptogens or nervines. An example of an adaptogen could be ashwagandha because ashwagandha and holy basil, they help modulate cortisol release and they support your adrenal function. Skullcap, which is a nervine, meaning that it works on the nervous system, it calms your nervous system, reducing anxiety and tension, but it also promotes parasympathetic dominance, which is very important. Another strategy is looking at your endothelial function. And so for that, you want to use cardiotonics. Hawthorn is a key herb for strengthening the heart as well as improving blood flow. It does support vascular health and it reduces your blood pressure. Hawthorn is also good because it strengthens your heart muscle, it improves your circulation, regulates your blood pressure, and it protects your endothelial lining. Now, those are some of the strategies that you can use to address it from a physical standpoint. Let's look at it from an emotional standpoint, how you can provide support to your client. So along with herbal remedies, emotional healing through either if they want to go get counseling, prayer, meditation, these things are crucial for addressing the root cause of the broken heart. And I always tell people, this is a journey. And it's often best if you can avoid it going at it by yourself, get a support group to go through it with you so you can move through it. The goal is to get through it and not stay stuck in it. So I'm going to give you some strategies to address the emotional aspect of it as well. Number 1, seek emotional support. Spend time with your friends, your family, your religious group or religious community, and, spend time with them. Get some comfort, get some encouragement. Isolation is one thing that you should not do, or you should not have your clients do. That can be very bad. I know some people want to isolate themselves, but that is not good for them. They need to spend time with people they trust, people that love them, people that they love, people that can support them, uplift them. That is very important. No man is an island. Another strategy is practice self-care. So focus on improving your physical and your mental health through exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate rest. This helps you and your body to be able to fight off the things that you are addressing or dealing with, I should say. Another thing is engage in prayer and meditation. These things are very important because you want to use this time to deepen your spiritual connection. A lot of times people don't understand why they're here. They don't understand why they're going through pain. They don't understand, what is this all about? What is the meaning of life? And so in order to survive this life, I'm going to be honest, you have to have a connection with the Most High. You really do. I don't know how people are getting by any other way. I really don't, because it's so much craziness going on. It's so much demonic activity in the earth. It's crazy. People are out of their minds. So I don't understand it, right? But it's important. Journaling is also important. Write down your thoughts, your feelings, use it to process your emotions and gain clarity. It's also good to get it out of you and get it out of your mind. And then another thing that's important and beneficial, not only for your client or for you or for anyone else, is help others. Volunteer. Shift your focus to serving others because this can provide perspective for you and purpose. None of us should feel like we're just floating around and, going away and not knowing what's going on. We all have a purpose. We're not here for no reason. Everything in this earth has a purpose, and we have to know that. Let's look at some biblical perspectives and guidance. Like I've explained to you all before, I am a person of faith. I do believe in the Most High. I do believe in the Bible, biblical principles and all that. If that doesn't work for you, it's all good. I'll pray for you. Put your name in the comments and I'll send some prayers up for you. But at the end of the day, it's very important that, we get our life in order. It's rough out here in these streets. So let me give you some biblical perspectives and guidance on how to deal with a broken heart. Number one, acknowledge the grief. Now, grief doesn't always have to be attached with losing someone physically. You can also grieve the fact that you've lost someone in a relationship, or that you've lost yourself, or that you've lost your way. The grief is just that step in that process of just letting it go, feeling the sadness that surrounds it, acknowledging the feelings that are around it, and then letting it go. The Bible recognizes the reality of heartbreak, and it allows for mourning. It says, the Lord, I don't normally use Lord, but the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That scripture is in Psalm 34:18. Number two, seek the Most High's comfort. So scripture encourages bringing the pain to the Most High. It says, cast all your anxiety or cast your cares on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. He knew that we would be in this earth with anxiety. He knew we would be anxious. He knew there would be unknown. He knew there would be pain and strife. He knew these things. So it's like, cast your cares upon me. Trust me to help you through this. And with trusting in his plan. That's the next one. Remember that his purposes are greater than our immediate circumstances. We know the scripture says that all things work together for the good of those who love the Most High. Romans 8:28. So it's going to work out. How? I don't know, but it will, because he said it was. Another thing you want to practice, which I notice a lot of people are ate up with, is unforgiveness. So you want to practice forgiveness. Because the Most High, he teaches us to forgive. And this can be healing for both parties involved, but definitely for yourself. It doesn't mean that, if you see that person, feelings might not arise. It may happen, but you really have to learn how to forgive. And forgiveness in and of itself is not necessarily easy, but it's a very necessary thing that has to happen. It is a part of the healing process, is to forgive. Another perspective is to maintain hope. No matter what, Romans 15:13, you want to be filled with joy and peace as you trust in him, because your outlook on life and maintaining hope that things can change and things can get better, that will help you get through it. Rather than if it's hopeless, all hope is gone, nothing can happen for me, and you have this negative confession, you're going to stay with that. And life is going to be as you have spoken and as you have declared it to be. Another thing is to learn and grow. Use this experience as an opportunity for personal and spiritual growth. James 1:2-3 says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So we got to persevere. Sometimes it doesn't always feel good. Trust me, I know. And lastly, number 7, remain open to love. And while it's natural to want to protect yourself and keep people away, remember that love is a fundamental virtue. 1 Corinthians 13:13. And now these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Love is very, very important process. It fills your heart. It gives you joy. And it is that glue, I believe, that can help mend your broken heart or mend your client's broken heart. So by combining these biblical principles with practical steps, as well as support from others, you can find comfort, healing, as well as personal growth through the experience of heartbreak. Now remember that healing is a process and it does take time. So it's okay to seek the help that you need to get there, but get on the road while you can. All right. So I just want to encourage you today, spend a little time with your clients, spend a little time with yourself if you need this information. Write everything down that I said, learn about the different processes of the body, how things work, what's going on with the body, and what you need to do in order to address it. Okay? Because it's very important for your mental, physical well-being. Very, very important. And if you're strategizing to formulate, a remedy that is going to work for your clients, don't forget to look at those biochemical markers as well as the cellular targets. Those things are definitely important when you're trying to consider how you want the cells to interact with the medicines that you are recommending. Okay? But no matter what, be encouraged. This too shall pass. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all social media accounts at The Demystified Herbalist. And until next time, family, I'm out.